What's good? What's good? What's good, family? Hope everybody is well. You guys, if you're going out and celebrating, or if you already celebrated your St. Patrick's Day, you guys be safe out there. For those of you guys still have some celebrating to do. If you didn't get it all in last night, thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast. I'm riding solo today, so this is my Sunday special. But we got some good content to talk about. Going to get into this NFL free agency, which has been crazy. Aaron Donald retires, which is bananas. I want to discuss where Aaron Donald ranks amongst all time NFL defenders. And but first, we have to talk about this. Justin Fields gets traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and kind of that 2021 draft. I mean, scouting the NBA in the NFL is it's at an all time low, fans. It's at an all time low. The number three trade, the number three pick in that draft, Trey Lance, he gets traded for a fourth round draft pick. And we all know what the San Francisco 49ers gave up to get up there to draft Trey Lance. Mac Jones just get traded. Um, Mac Jones, the number 15 pick, he gets traded for a sixth round pick. And Justin Fields, just a couple of nights ago, he gets traded for 11th, the 11th pick of the NFL. He gets traded for a sixth round pick. So we know that again, NFL scouting, I just can't. All the investment they put into the scouting, whether it's the time and commitment they do with the go down to Mobile for uh, the senior, the Senior Bowl, the week they spend with these guys there, everything that goes on in Indianapolis during the combine. I just don't get how the NFL fails so tremendously with the NFL draft. Maybe they should change that stuff. Maybe they should just watch the tape and not waste their time at the Senior Bowl and not waste their time with the in the combine. Maybe changing that up. And so I like to see one of the 32 teams in the NFL just focus on game tape, on what they see in college. Let's see how those if you just base your draft just on what you see from their game tape, let's see how that team who decides to just do that, how they fare in the draft. Because the way these guys draft today, it's mind boggling how they fail so much. As I mentioned, Trey Lance, he had his opportunity. He couldn't stay healthy with the 49ers. We know what they gave up to move up to draft him. He hasn't worked out. He's on the Cowboys. Mac Jones just get traded again. Mac Jones get traded to be a backup in Jacksonville. He was the number 15 pick, and then Justin Fields. Justin Fields wasn't terrible in Chicago. I have to say he was not terrible in Chicago. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think he's one of maybe a couple quarterbacks to have 6,000 yards passing and 2,000 yards rushing in his first 3 years of his career. I think Cam Newton is the only one of quarterbacks to do that. Again, was not terrible. Cam Newton did win an MVP. Cam Newton did was a primary factor in those Carolina Panthers getting to the Super Bowl. So he did achieve some good things in the NFL. Justin Fields did achieve some good things in Chicago. Chicago was probably their front office, their coaching. They didn't put anything around them. Now all of a sudden they want to they want to acquire some talented players. DJ Moore, they gave DJ Moore to him last year. Now they got Keenan Allen from the Chargers. Now they're going to give their new quarterback Caleb Williams, who everybody projects is going to be Caleb Williams, give him some weapons so he can be successful. Something they didn't do for Justin Fields. Justin Fields was running around there. However, I do believe that Justin Fields was not terrible. I didn't think a lot of Justin Fields coming out of Ohio State. However, he was better than I anticipated. Going to Chicago, he was not terrible. Chicago just didn't have a lot of talent around him. So he gets traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is I think it's definitely going to be a better situation because Pittsburgh is a better franchise. Obviously, they play more defense than offense historically. They have two running backs in Warren and my man from I forgot his name because his game has been so terrible. The guy from Alabama. They have two decent running backs, so they can complement what uh what Justin Fields needs to be doing. They have a good tight end for him to throw to. Um, the receiver, I think they need re- Pittsburgh will likely draft a receiver. And if there's any team in the NFL you have confidence in drafting a good receiver, it's been the Pittsburgh Steelers. You go all the way back to Antonio Brown, to Wallace, to Heinz Ward. Yeah, the Pittsburgh Steelers have a history of drafting fantastic wide receivers. I guess you go back to Lynn Swan and John Starworth. They just know whoever it is drafting wide receivers, that's the team you want drafting a wide receiver because the Steelers do that so well. So I think just this is a better situation. It's a more stable franchise. Although I'm not a huge fan of of what Tomlin has done for the Steelers over the year. My co-hosts like to say, well, he hasn't had a losing season in X amount of years. Well, that is true, and you rather be good than bad, but at the same time, that keeps you in a purgatory where you can't get a high draft pick because you consistently just okay. That's been mediocre. So I don't. I will say where I think the team has been mediocre overall, the Pittsburgh Steelers is, and under Mike Tomlin. I will say that's a better situation with the Chicago Bears have been, where they're continually trying to rebuild their program. So kudos to the Bears. I mean, the Bears got a 6th round draft pick for the guy you drafted number 11 overall, and the guy who, again, you compare him to Cam Newton. He's one of three guys. I can't remember who the other guy is, but he's one of three guys who's passed for 6,000 yards and rushed for over 2,000 yards in their career. Again, only a few guys has done this. So Justin Fields does have a talent, NFL talent. And I think it's good for him that he gets to go whatever I think of Russell Wilson, or whatever we think of Russell Wilson in the backside of his career. He can teach Justin Fields how to be a professional and a quality NFL quarterback in his career. He can teach that to Justin Fields. Justin Fields will get quality coaching from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Justin Fields will get that quality mentor in the NFL. He will get that. If Russell game completely falls off the face of the earth and he doesn't play 10, 12 games this season, Justin Fields, he will be able to coach up Justin Fields. You learn best from your friends, right? You learn best from your uh pupils, um than sometimes your teacher or your parents, right? You take advice. Most of us have taken advice from our friends, from our peers, than our parents or our teachers. That's going to be the case for Justin Fields. He's going to learn some good stuff, some good valuable um attributes about being a quarterback in the NFL from Russell Wilson, who's done that for the last 10 years of his career, to 11 years of his career. So that's not a bad situation for him. It's to actually help set the Steelers up if Russell Wilson doesn't play past this season with the Steelers. It sets them up for the future because they get a quarterback now that, again, they're going to build him up, give him some skills to be successful in the future. That's going to help the Steelers down the line. So that's not a bad pick for a 6th round pick. That's an excellent pickup. You get a quarterback who's played in the NFL. You get the quarterback who's had some experience in the NFL, and again, he has some rare traits that will benefit the Pittsburgh Steelers moving forward down the line. And he gets to take a deep breath, sit on the sideline, watch the game from a different angle, and see how Russell Wilson handles some success or failures. Either one, he get to see how Russell Wilson handles this, and then how Russell, regardless of what we think about him, Russell does get up for the next play and come better prepared for the next play than a lot of quarterbacks have. So that's going to be that's a good situation for Justin Fields. I'm just surprised with all the hoopla and what we all suspected. Maybe that's what took so long for them to trade him, because they were waiting for a bigger bag. The Chicago Bears were. They were looking for maybe two ones, two twos, or a 2 and a 3, something better than a 6 round pick, and I'm not mad at that. I'd expect to get more than a 6 round pick, a 2025 6 round pick, not even a 6 round pick in this coming draft this April, a 2025 6 round pick, um, from a guy who has played again, had played in the NFL, had some success. Again, he got better as the years went along. So kudos to Justin Fields for at least just getting better as the years go along, and we'll see how things transpire for him with the Steelers. What do you guys think? Was this a decent pickup for the Steelers? I think all Steeler fans have to be excited to get what they got from him for a 6 round draft pick. You have to be excited. You have no choice but to be excited. Justin Fields, I think again, as I mentioned, he has an opportunity to grow and learn from this situation. He has an opportunity to grow and learn from a quarterback that has played in the NFL. So that's a that's a good fit for him. I would say by all accounts, that's a good fit for Justin Fields going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's going to get quality coaching from a franchise that, historically good franchise who's not trying to rebuild, or they're not constantly rebuilding as the Chicago Bears were. Again, he has a quality run game. He only has one receiver, but I have confidence that the Steelers would be able to draft another receiver to fill out their void. Um, and so we'll see how things transpire. What's you guys' thoughts on Justin Fields going to the Steelers? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. With Justin Fields going to the Steelers, let me know. Did the Steelers get enough for him? And obviously, this clears the way for Caleb Williams now, for the Bears to draft Caleb Williams. Does this put more pressure on Caleb Williams to succeed? Because as you know, my co-host had Justin Fields going to the bench, Caleb Williams becoming the number one quarterback right away. Caleb Williams, as I mentioned, they are doing some good things in Chicago to put good players around him. They drafted they traded for Keenan Allen, which I think is a great trade. Actually, Keenan Allen, I had questions before I heard him talk. That I had questions on whether he would show up in Chicago, because he mentioned that there's only certain teams that he would be willing to go play for. He mentioned that at the end of the year, when they said, would he give it up or would he continue to play, because they kind of knew down based on his salary that they were going to. I was kind of wondering, questioning whether Keenan Allen would actually show up in Pittsburgh, but he decided to show up, and it looks like Keenan Allen's a good dude. He just wants to. He's a great guy, so he's going to be a good locker room guy, etc. So with them going out and getting DeAndre Swift, um, uh, they signed Dante Pettis, who I think he hasn't scratched the surface um, in his NFL career. They got Gerald Everett from the also from the Chargers. Um, Another Amen the linebacker. Ogbe Ogbon Benemiga. I forget how to pronounce his name. He has a great story though. Ogbon Benemiga. He came from the Chargers, the linebacker. He's going to be helping. They got Kevin Byard from the who was with the who got traded to the Eagles, who came over there. Now the Bears are building a decent team. Um, Most importantly, they got Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift on the offensive side of the ball. Again, Dante Pettis is a big target for their future quarterback in Caleb Williams. They got some offensive linemen. They got Coleman Shelton, Ryan Bates, uh, Jake Curhan. They got Matt Pryor. So they're rebuilding that offensive line to give him some protection. So they conceivably, the Bears should be much better, but they're going to be in a tough division with the Lions, obviously, who won that division last year. I expect them to win the division this following season. They the Packers, who blew out the Cowboys in the playoff this season. I think they're going to be better. Love is going to be better. He has a year under his belt of actually playing. Now he has him and his wide receivers have a year of continuity under their belt. I think they'll be better. And I'm gonna talk about NFL free agencies, but I think the best running back in the NFL, in my opinion, was Josh Jacobs. How the Raiders, the whole discounting of the running back position, and I don't say it's discounting. Let me take that back. I think Josh Jacobs has been the best back in the NFL for a few years now. The NFL, and we would say the NFL, the running back market has been depressed. Is not that it's been depressed. Is that they can find these guys and replace them easily than most other positions. Because running backs, as you know, in college, there's not much there's not much familiarity you need. There's not much continuity you need. There's not much teamwork goes into running the ball. You get a running back the ball and let him do his thing. That's really how that situation goes. Give the running back the ball. You hope that he gets some blocking and let him do his thing. There's not a lot to it. The receivers, your receivers need to get continuity with their quarterbacks, right? The receivers need to learn how to run the route. The receivers need to learn how to get open. In the NFL, in the running back, you don't need that. The defenders, your cornerbacks need to learn how to guard, need to learn how to protect with to defend the receivers without getting fouls, right? The safeties, the linebackers. You guys need to know they need to know how to be in position to make a play, how to read the offense and learn the schemes that's being uh press that the guys are playing against them. The running backs, they get to get the ball and run. That's they've been doing that in college. They've been doing like that in high school. Not a lot changes in that scenario. Obviously, the guys are bigger, faster, stronger. The talent disparity is different, but there's not a lot that goes in that position, is what I'm saying. That there's a learning curve is not that steep versus other positions on the field. So that where I want to personally want to complain that the running back position has been devalued. I don't think it's been devalued. I think more so that these guys can be found as the defending Super Bowl champs, two-time defending Super Bowl champs, drafted their primetime running back in the seventh round, Pacheco. They got him in the seventh round. So you can get a guy who can produce and perform for you, not like Josh Jacobs, but you can still get a guy who can produce. And when you have a quarterback such as um, 15, Patrick Mahomes, you can get a guy in the seventh round, and his production is going to be valued extra because obviously you're not leaning on him to change the game for you. So with that being said, the I want to get into the running. I want to get into the free agencies and the best. I was talking about. I got on that tangent because I'm talking about the Bears in that NFL in that NFC North position division. The Bears are still going to be behind the Lions, still going to be behind the Packers. Um, then it's the Bears, the Vikings. Who knows what's going on in Minnesota? Oh my goodness, who knows what's going on in Minnesota? They lost their quarterback. I didn't think a whole lot of Kirk Cousins, but he's been a quality producing running back or quarterback in the NFL for some years now. Now we saw what they did without Kirk Cousins once he went down. They had a QB carousel in there where nobody was ever able to produce. So now without Kirk Cousins, without the potential of him coming back, Dobbs isn't going to be there. They got the guy from USC who just never um, uh, Darnold, excuse me. He never produced in. I didn't like him at USC. I thought he threw way too many interceptions for college football. But then he goes to New York, the Jets, and he doesn't produce there. He is Sam Darnold. He goes to San Francisco, and I don't know. Maybe some Shanahan rubs off on him, and he takes that to the Vikings. I don't see it. I don't see it. The big question for the Vikings is, I don't know what's going on with the Vikings. They didn't want to sign. They didn't want to sign Dalvin Cook last season for whatever reason. Um, we see it that didn't really work out for them. They have a couple good receivers though on their squad. Then Kirk Cousins goes down, and they don't have anybody to adequately replace him. And that QB carousel just brought that team down. Now, what do you do with arguably the best receiver in NFL. What do you do with this guy and no quarterback to throw to him? Like, how long does he stay on your team? Do you trade him? Do you trade him for to the highest bidder? Because he's going to be happy or he's going to be unhappy. Do you sign him for $30 million? And I think if you sign him for $30 million, it's only amount of time before Justin Jefferson says trade me because I can't get the ball. You're going to have a Keyshawn Johnson situation where you're paying a dude a lot of money and he doesn't have anybody throwing the ball. Is he going to be happy with $30 million? I don't know. I don't expect so. I think if you pay him $30 million, that'll keep him quiet for half the season. He won't complain for half the season. Then moving into the second half of the season, he's going to be complaining because his numbers aren't going to be there. At least he would have had his money, but his numbers aren't going to be there. And can he be happy just having mediocre season? Who knows? Who knows? But I wanted to look at the best free agent signings of this off season. Again, I want to go heavy on the Justin Fields trade. I want to talk about the NFL free agency, and then I want to let you know where I rank Aaron Donald as he retires among all-time NFL defenders. So we had Kirk Cousins, and I'll do this by position for you guys. Kirk Cousins going to the Falcons. Again, as I just mentioned, I wasn't a huge fan of what Kirk Cousins does, but Kirk Cousins puts up fantasy numbers. If you have Kirk, I think I've won a fantasy football championship with Kirk Cousins as my quarterback because he can put up fantasy numbers. Is he going to win you a playoff game? No. Is he going to win you a division? Not likely, but he's going to put up numbers. Kirk Cousins will put up numbers for you on the football team. We expect now for their tight end to finally get some balls thrown his way. We expect now for Drake London to get some balls thrown his way. I'm still surprised Jake London at running a 4.6 is a starting wide receiver in the NFL. That's still surprising me. I thought he'd be a tight end coming out of college, but that's still surprising me. However, Kirk Cousins is going to pass the ball, move the ball around, and then they have Robinson and running back. So that offense is going to look tremendously different than it has in recent years. With Kirk Cousins at the quarterback, again, an experienced quarterback in the NFL, that's a benefit, regardless of if he's a Pro Bowler or not. Being an experienced quarterback in the NFL pays dividends. Watch that. Listen to what I say, Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Having Russell Wilson as a quarterback is gonna make you guys just a better team. So I think Kirk Cousins is going to be better. Surprised that Kirk Cousins and his agent should be applauded. They should be a 30 for 30 on Kirk Cousins and his agents. How he's pilfered the NFL owners into thinking he's worthy of all that money. Guys, that's if you just be a friendly guy, just be a nice coworker, you could things will work out for you. I think that's what Kirk Cousins has been. A locker room guy, a nice guy, and guys just keep giving him money for whatever reason because he's not a game. I think he's top when this contract is all said and done. He'll be the top 3 earners in the NFL history. He's not the top 3 player in NFL history, but he's been a nice guy. People like him, and when people like you, things work out for you. That's what Kirk Cousins. It has to be his end. So Kirk Cousins going to the Falcons, I think is a benefit to them. It's going to kind of change that Falcons situation around. At least now they have a legitimate quarterback, which they haven't had since Matt Ryan. Obviously, Gardner Minshew to the Raiders. Gardner Minshew's above average quarterback. I'll be shocked if they don't draft a quarterback. If they draft a quarterback, it's understandable. I'll be happy with Gardner Minshew kind of guiding this rookie quarterback into play. But Gardner Minshew as your long-term answer for a quarterback, I don't think that's the right direction to go. Again, if they draft a quarterback, it's understandable. I'm happy with Gardner Minshew being a bridge to my starting quarterback, or my rookie quarterback when he's ready to take over. But as him for a long-term plan, I don't like it. Gardner Minshew's a good quarterback. He's above average quarterback. He's not going to lose you a bunch of games, but I think he's not going to win you a bunch of games either. Sam Darnold, I just talked about that. Jacoby Brissett going to the Patriots again. Jacoby Brissett being your bridge to a new quarterback, I'm okay with. him being your starting quarterback, if this is your long term plan, you're in trouble. Marcus Mariota, again, same situation. If this is your long term plan as a quarterback, you're in trouble. As a backup, okay. Drew Lock is not even worth talking about. Jameis Winston to the Browns. Guys, last time Jameis Winston started a full season, he had 40 touchdowns. He was in the 40-40 club. 40 touchdowns, 40 interceptions. The next year, they brought in Tom Brady, and they just needed a quarterback not to throw 40 interceptions for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be good. And Brady didn't throw 40 interceptions. They go on and win the Super Bowl. Has Winston learned not to throw interceptions? We don't know. He's always been go for the gusto type of player. Is that going to help the Browns out? Coming off the bench, I guess he's not a bad quarterback because more than likely Deshaun Watson is going to get injured again, and they're going to need somebody off the bench. Can Jameis Winston fill in adequately? I don't know. You sign up for a 1-year deal, $4 million. That's not a bad signing. We'll see what Jameson has, and then maybe this will be his bridge to another opportunity. Mason Rudolph going to the Titans. So what? Mitchell Trubisky going to the Bills. So what? Russell Wilson going to the Steelers. We talked about what that means and what that looks like. Um, and he's going to be the mentor. He's going to be the guide, the guiding factor for Justin Fields. They get him on a 1-year deal, $1.2 million. Obviously, he's making the bulk of his money from the Broncos. So that's a good signing for Russell Wilson. And again, he's going to be a guy for Justin Fields going into the next latter half of his career. With the running back Saquon Barkley going to the Eagles, what do you guys think about the Saquon going to the Eagles? I think it's a good pickup. I think it's a signing that he's going to take a lot of carries away from their quarterback Jalen Hurts, which I think is obviously a great decision. When you have now, you can run the RPO with Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. That's a good fit. But I thought the Eagles had a few more holes to plug than a running back position. I don't know why DeAndre Swift is on his third team in 3 years. As I mentioned earlier, he's going to the Chicago Bears. I thought he's a good, productive running back. He did sign a 3-year deal with the Bears. I just can't understand why the Lions let him go. Now the Eagles let him go. I don't know if if he's not a good locker room guy. As I mentioned, the Kirk Cousins scenario, how Kirk Cousins benefit from being that good locker room guy. I don't know what's up with DeAndre Swift because I thought he's been a decent running back, a productive running back wherever he's been, but now he's with the Bears. We'll see how he's going to get the bulk of the carries with Chicago. We'll see how things transpire. But I think Saquon Barkley to the Eagles is a good pickup. I just think the Eagles have more issues, more holes to plug than a running back, i.e. linebacker, i.e. safety. They need I think they lost their edge rusher, so they needed to fill that position. I like Barkley added to that offense. I just think they had more holes to plug. That's how I feel about the Justin Fields, or excuse me, the Saquon Barkley situation. The Green Bay Packers. I'm surprised that they let Aaron Jones get out the door, because Aaron Jones again was a productive running back for those guys. But they get Josh Jacobs, so it's understandable. Again, I'm a big fan of what Josh Jacobs brings to the table. In 3 of his first 4 years, he was over 1,000 yards. 2 of those years, I think he led the league in yards from scrimmage. Last season was among his worst season, but when you hold out and you don't come, you don't. That has an impact when you miss training camp and you try to start the season late after guys are already in shape and the guys are already ready to go. That does have a severe impact in what your season ends up being like, and that's kind of impacted Josh Jacobs. So he goes to Green Bay on a 4-year deal. Again, they're a young team. They get younger. They're on a young offense, and he's a better running back than Aaron Jones. So I think he's in a great situation. I still rather be in Las Vegas on that artificial turf versus the Packers in outdoors. But he's going to be a good running back for the Packers. I still believe. I think he was the best running back available. Joe Mixon, he gets traded to the Texans. Surprising move. The Bengals were looking to cut salary, and the Texans are the beneficiary of that. Is he going to be? I like Singletary last year with the Singletary was a hard runner. Again, nobody was expecting a lot from the Texans last year, so maybe Singletary's production kind of caught the league by surprise. Does Joe Mixon still have that burst left? Does he still? He's kind of what happens to these guys that get kind of later in their career. I think he's 28, 29. Does Joe Mixon have that burst and that drive that Singletary showed last season for the Texans? We'll see. I don't know. It's a good veteran back, but as I mentioned, you don't need a veteran in the running back position. We'll see how that transpires. Um, I got a question mark on that move for the Singletary over Mixon. I got a question mark there. DeAndre Swift going to the Bears, like I was saying, he's going to get the bulk of the carries. Maybe they don't trade him in next year, and he stays with the Bears as he becomes a productive back. As we talked about, they redid their offensive line, um, and with a young quarterback, they should be the best friend to a young quarterback. The best friend to a young quarterback, if you don't know, is a good running game. So maybe a good running game is going to help Caleb Williams out. We'll see how that transpires. Terrible is kind of strong. He's not terrible. He he's not terrible. Um, but he's not taking him to the Super Bowl next year. Come on, let's not get it carried away. He can't read the we can't read the menu. Again, that's kind of strong. He's not terrible. Uh, what I don't know. I, I don't know. What do you? You're a Patriot fan, so what do you think? Was he better than Mac Jones? Would you rather have Mac Jones or Justin Fields? You tell me. Patriots watch. Terrible. I think is a bit harsh. Was he great? Obviously, he wasn't. Obviously, oh, Bears fan, huh? I don't know. I don't. I can't say terrible. Again, I didn't watch every game, but I can't say terrible. I didn't expect a lot from him coming out of Ohio State, but I can't say terrible. So we'll see. I think with a year to take a deep breath, um, he gets a again he gets a deep breath this season, and he gets to watch the game. He gets to watch the game, take a deep breath. Maybe that's going to help him out. Maybe that's going to help. Look for that to help Justin Fields out. Watching the game, learning from a peer, as I mentioned. That's going to help him out. And again, he's on a team where the quarterback it hasn't typically since Big Ben, since Terry Bradshaw, been the main catalyst. They play defense first. They run the ball, and then your quarterback can complement the other guys with his play. So he's in a good situation that way. And then again, as I mentioned, you learn from your peers more than you learn from your parents. Maybe you learn from your coaching. So he can learn something from Russell Wilson about how to be a pro quarterback, how to read some defenses, how to play to how they're playing you, right? Um, one quarterback that has developed, Brock Purdy has developed. Uh, Kirk Cousins is developed. Kirk Cousins wasn't this quarterback coming out of Michigan State. He got time to play. Again, he sat down and watched the game because RG played. So I disagree with you in that situation right there. Derrick Henry, go back to my running backs and the free agents pick up. Derrick Henry going to the Ravens. Like that's we talked about the RPO from RPO with Saquon Barkley and Justin Hurts. You got Derrick Henry and last season's MVP and Lamar Jackson. That's a pretty deadly combination as well. I think this is a good situation because like Saquon is going to take some of the load off of Derrick Henry, or like Saquon is going to take some of the load off of Justin Hurts. Derrick Henry should take some of the load off of Lamar Jackson, conceivably. We want to see Lamar run less, right? I think we saw Lamar's kind of game slow down, and I'm thinking of one play in particular against the Kansas City Chiefs when it looked like he had an RPO and he took off from the line of scrimmage and he got 10 yards down the field and started looking over his left and right shoulder. When guys break out into the open and they start looking over the shoulder, they don't have the confidence that they had the speed to get away from everybody. And that's what we saw from Lamar Jackson. The hole broke wide open for him, and he was looking over his shoulder after 12 yards. Again, maybe we saw him take a step back, but adding Henry to that offense, now Henry, they traditionally have a running back got by committee. They have the best running game in the NFL. Obviously, they had traditionally was doing a running back by committee. Now maybe they can give Henry the ball 15 to 17 times a game versus the 25 to 27 times a game he was getting in Tennessee. That 15 to 17 times a game, Lamar carries it 5 to 6, 7 times a game on key fourth down or key short yardage situation. I think served both of those guys well. Losing Patrick Queen, I don't think was a great situation, but I think Henry is going to help out the Ravens and just make that offense more formidable. You asked me to tell you about a quarterback. I told you about a quarterback. You don't like you don't like the year I picked. I told you about a quarterback. Come on now. Yeah, Henry's gonna help. We agree there. He's gonna help the Ravens. I certainly agree with that. Tyrone Pollard to the Titans. Tyrone Pollard to the Titans. There is though they had a young running back there with the Titans. That running back was the complimentary running back. They both now are speed guys. I don't know. They're playing the same position. As Pollard needs to be with the guy similar to Derrick Henry. He needs to be with a guy similar to Ezekiel Elliott, who was a pounder, who was a plotter, who was the short yardage back. Pollard can come in. He's the off speed back to change the speed, to give your defense a different look. That was Pollard before last season with the Cowboys. We saw last season with the Cowboys, although he was coming off an injury. So we have to take that into consideration. We have to look at in Pollard. I would not start the season with Pollard as my every down running back. So I don't know what I'm saying shortly. The Tennessee Titans, him going to Tennessee, I don't think it was a great situation. I don't think it was a great situation because Pollard should be that change of speed back. And now they have two of the similar guys. I don't see where that helps those guys. I don't see where that helps the guys. Devin Singletary going to the Giants. Well, Aaron Jones going to the Vikings. Okay, that's not a bad move. They needed a better running back than what they had. Madison, I don't think was a quality run. Aaron Jones is certainly a better running back. They need a quarterback. Aaron Jones is not going to take all the pressure off of Sam Darnold going into next season. They need a quarterback. They need to probably move up to get a quarterback. They acquired the 23 pick, I think, and they have the 11 pick. They need to be moving up because I would be scared to start the season with Sam Darnold as my quarterback. Aaron Jones isn't going to help that situation. Devin Singletary to the Giants, not an adequate backup for Saquon Barkley. That's what that lies right there. He's not an adequate running back for Saquon Barkley. Doesn't work. Austin Ekeler going to the Commanders. I'm kind of surprised by this one, actually. As when I talk about not every down back, and I talk about change of pace back, Austin Ekeler is a change of pace running back. Plain and simple. Not a slap in the face. He's a change of pace running back. He needs to be with the running back like his best days were he was playing behind Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon getting all the short yardage carries. Austin Ekeler can come in as a change of pace running back. Him going to the Washington Commanders, they letting Gibson go. Antonio Gibson goes to the Patriots. Are the Commanders expecting Austin Ekeler to be every down back? They're going to be sadly mistaken. They're going to be sad with that transaction. Austin Ekeler, you're going to be sad when they expecting you to be the every down back in command in Washington. Again, I would rather stay in Southern California and at SoFi Stadium versus playing outdoors in Washington. Just my opinion. Um, I don't know. I guess that wasn't on the table. That wasn't on the cards. I don't know the situation there exactly. But the Commanders, if you're expecting Austin Eckler to be your every down running back, you're going to be sadly mistaken. Zach Moss going to the Bengals. Okay. Okay. Um, you're not adequate running. You're not adequate replacement to. I don't think that's an adequate replacement for Joe Mixon. However, their game is their offense is not predicated on running the ball. So you're a complimentary player. Gus Edwards to the Chargers. Again, Gus Edwards comes from Washington to the Chargers. He's going to be an every down back. Gus Edwards been looking for the opportunity to become an every down running back. He didn't running back running. If I was a running back, I wouldn't be want to play running back up by committee. I'd imagine it may extend your career a season or two, but you want to get some carries. You want to get kind of in a rhythm. Gus Edwards is going to get that opportunity in Los Angeles with the Chargers. Some of the wide receivers signings. I'm surprised. Calvin Ridley leaves Jacksonville to go to Tennessee to play with the second year quarterback. Tennessee pays him $23 million. Why Tennessee? Tennessee Titans brass. Why wouldn't you pay the guy you sent to Philadelphia? Brown. Why wouldn't you pay Brown? You wait a year, you realize how much you go sign Nuke. You go sign Nuke coming out of Arizona who sat on the bench for half a season, but you didn't want to pay Brown. I don't understand the concept there. Then now you go pay Calvin Ridley $23 million. Brown would have took that money to play with Ryan Tannehill. AJ Brown. What? I don't understand the logic there. Somebody Tennessee fans help me out. I don't understand the logic there. That's a quarterback who's been groomed now, who is developing. The quarterback for the Titans who's been groomed. Gabe Davis signing with the Jaguars. Go get your money, Gabe. Go get your money done. Darnell Mooney going to the Falcons. He's going to see some balls. Curtis Samuels leaving the Commanders, going to the Bills. He's going to get his money. Marquise Brown going from the Cardinals to the Chiefs. Boy, I tell you, you talking about from the outhouse to the penthouse. You talk about from the outhouse to the penthouse. Marquise Brown. Not that he's Tyreek Hill, but he's gonna have a lot of Tyreek Hill type plays where they have their underneath receivers. They have Kelsey to run the underneath routes. Now Marquise Brown gets to go deep on these deep routes, on the deep crossing routes, on these fly routes. And you got Patrick Mahomes' arm who's been saved. His arm has been saved, fans. If you guys, since Tyreek Hill, he hasn't been able to go deep like he was early in his coming out of the league. Another quarterback that was groomed, that was developed. Patrick Mahomes. You talk about name a number one quarterback who's currently on the currently developing. Patrick Mahomes sat on the bench for a whole season. Okay, and was developed into being the starting quarterback that he was. Okay, when he got his opportunity, he had Tyreek Hill to throw deep to. Now he has that weapon again with Kelsey, with Rice running the underneath routes. And now that's going to be a great opportunity for Marquise Brown. May not be the Calvin Ridley, I think, would be a better receiver. Gabe Davis of the book is still out. Marquise Brown might be the best receiver that might have been the best receiver. I think he had the most yards, if I'm not mistaken, out of all these guys without looking at the stats. He might have had the most yards out of all of these guys. Make them quality, make them the best receiver. The Chiefs got over 1 year deal. I'm sure they're going to keep him. Once you have them on your books, then it's easier to pay them. Devin Duvernay goes from the Ravens to the Jaguars to replace Calvin Ridley. I mean, somebody's going to need to catch the ball there. Noah Brown, the Titans received him, or the Texans, excuse me, re-signed him. Uh, Devin Parker goes from the Patriots to the Eagles. We'll see. Devin Parker, I think Devin made the Dolphins sign him for 17 million dollars. Now he's down to 1.2. Tells you about what he's worth there. Some of these tight ends signing, Noah Fant resigns with the Seahawks. Kobe Parkinson goes from the Seahawks to the Rams. Gerald Everett goes from the Chargers to the Bears. Will Disley goes from the Seahawks to the Chargers. Jonnu Smith goes from the Falcons to the Dolphins. So there's some good signings there. The free agent, the offensive line, the Jets picked up the Cowboys right tackle, which is going to obviously significantly take Smith, which is obviously going to significantly impact the Cowboys offensive line. The Cowboys, I don't know, I don't know what game they're playing this off season, because they haven't picked up many players. So somebody can chime in and tell me what the Cowboys are doing this off season. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to bank on everybody being in the draft. Who knows? But some of the most notable linemen that changes teams is the Dolphins lose Robert Hunt. He goes to the Panthers. Jonnu Jackson goes from the Lions to the Rams. Who else? John Runyon Jr. goes from the Packers to the Giants. Good pickup for the Giants. The Raiders or Jermaine Uluminar. He goes from the Raiders to the Giants. So the Giants are trying to do some things. Aaron Brewer, goes from the Titans to the Dolphins. Mitch Morse goes from the Bills to the Jaguars. So there's been some movement there. Not a lot of notable names, but none of you guys know the offensive linemen much anyway, to be honest with you. Some of the defensive linemen that you do know, the guy putting pressure on the quarterbacks, is the Dolphins. If you guys listen to the show during the week, you guys know what I think about. I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. You guys know what I think about Tua Tagovailoa, and when you have your quarterback on a rookie contract, it's easy to acquire a lot of players, right? Because you're not paying that guy so much money. But the Dolphins not signing Christian Wilkins and letting him go out the door to the Raiders, 4 years, 110 mil, 25 years, 27.5 per year. I mean, that's a direct reflection on them not being able to pay him and pay Tua Tagovailoa. Tua, you better be worth it. Tua, you better step up and have a season worth it, because Christian Wilkins, where he wasn't he wasn't leading in the sack numbers, is being able to slow down the run and be able to chase down the running backs was key to that team. His energy, he was a leader on the defense. That's going to be hard to replace for the Dolphins. The Seahawks, who they traded for Leonard Williams, they re-signed Leonard Williams. So good move by them. Arik Armstead goes from the 49ers to the Jaguars. Grover Stewart gets re-signed by the Colts. Sheldon Rankins go from the Texans to the Bengals. They good pickup for the Bengals. Justin Jones goes from the Bears to the Cardinals. He gets some money, 3 years, 31, 10 years, 10 years per, or excuse me, 10 million per. Danico Autry goes from the Titans to the Texans. Daquan Jones gets re-signed by the Bills. Ken Law goes for the 49ers to the Jets. Go play for his old coach. So he gets for 7.25. Ken Law's a beast. Ken Law's a hungry dog. So that's a good pickup by the Jets. So I'm sure Tua, you're gonna feel him. You're gonna get a chance to meet him early in the season. Some of the edge rushers that changed teams, as you guys know, Brian Burns goes from the Panthers to the Giants. He gets 28 mil for 5 years. So that was a big pickup for them. The Vikings send Danielle Hunter to the Texans. Texans again showing up again. The Texans is going to be another quality team. Um, Dorrance Armstrong leaves the Cowboys and goes to the Commanders, stays within the division. Leonard Floyd leaves the Bills, goes to the 49ers. Aaron Andrew Van Ginkel goes from the Dolphins to the Vikings. Um, Marcus Davenport goes from the Vikings to the Lions. So there's been some considerable movement, and this is not all of them, but this is just some of the notable ones. Some other notable uh moves on the defense side of the ball was Patrick Queen going from the Ravens to the Steelers. Now he just swapped uniforms in the same division to play the same style. The Buccaneers re-signed Levante David. Seahawks Jordan Brooks, the Seahawks linebacker, goes from the Seahawks to the linebackers, or excuse me, Seahawks to the Dolphins. Bobby Wagner goes from the Seahawks to the Commanders. Kenneth Murray goes from the Chargers to the Titans. Um, Jordan Hicks goes from the Vikings to the Browns. Again, just recalling some of the notable changes. Um, Now I'm gonna move notable changes on defense. Darby goes from the Ravens to the Jaguars. Interesting. That was an interesting move. The Falcons send Okuda goes from the Falcons to the Texans. Again, the Texans are getting stronger. Kendall Fuller goes from the Commanders to the Dolphins. I don't think this is an adequate pick. The Dolphins do again. They lose a $20 million cornerback in Xavier Howard. I don't know that Kendall Fuller is an adequate replacement to that guy, um, but we'll see. I mean, I like Fuller coming out of Virginia Tech. I just thought he was a little small, so we'll see how that plays out. Uh, Jajobi Awuzie goes from the Bengals to the Titans. Yeah, some of the better safeties. The Dolphins loses Brandon Jones. The Dolphins lose Brandon Jones to the Broncos. Von Bell returns back to he leaves the Panthers to go to the Bengals, returns back to the Bengals. Um, Darnell Savage goes from the Packers to the Jaguars. I talked about Eagles lose Kevin Byard. He goes to the Bears. So those are some of my number one pickup fans. Who are some of your number one pickups in the off season for whatever team you root for? Let us know in the chat. Who are some of your noticeable pickups amongst NFL free agencies? Fans, I want to get into. Lastly, I'm not gonna hold you guys too long. Again, just want to give you guys some fresh content on the St. Patrick's Day, the Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, depending on where you're at. Final thing I want to talk about today is Aaron Donald retired. Aaron Donald retires from the NFL. And I want to give Aaron Donald some love. Aaron Donald, 10-time Pro Bowler. Him and Barry Sanders are the only guys elected to the Pro Bowl in each of their 10 seasons in their 10-year career. So playing at least 10 years, Barry Sanders, Aaron Donald, the only guys who got elected to the Pro Bowl each of those 10 years. Oh, the guys who only played 10 years. 8-time All Pro, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. Only two other guys to do that. JJ Watt. Well, I seem to kind of feel JJ Watt's a little overrated. He was a beast, but I kind of feel he was a little overrated. JJ Watt won 3 Defensive Player of the Year 3 times. Lawrence Taylor and Aaron Donald. That's a list right there. JJ Watt, LT, and Aaron Donald. In sacks, he ranked 28th all time in sacks, 111. Tackles for loss is where he played a major factor. 176 tackles for loss. That was 3rd all time. He's a Super Bowl champion. There was you got Kyler Murray, who played in the same division as Aaron Donald. When he announced his retirement, he sent a tweet out. The tweet is "Thank God," with some laughing emojis and the salute emoji. Because if you played against Aaron Donald, man, my oh my, He was a beast. I had a chance to interview Aaron Donald a couple times. Aaron Donald is a stand up person. He's built like a fire hydrant, so he's 5'9". I think probably at 250, 255. But just strong as an ox. Like he was hard to move. He wrecked shop. He wrecked all your game plans. There were several stories of him having to sit out practices. That's how he got his rest, because he was forced to sit out practices so the Rams offense could get some reps in. Because with him in the game, like with him practicing and practicing how hard he did, he was a leader. He was a leader not only on the practice field but in the weight room. Okay, he was a leader. A lot of guys followed him. He helped develop some of those guys that played with him, because obviously he's drawing enough. He's drawing so much attention that other guys got a chance to sign, because he's getting doubled and triple team a lot of times. The other guys had to take advantage of these opportunities. So he's helped a lot of guys' career with the development, with his growth and development, and his play on the field. So Aaron Donald was a beast, y'all. Again, 10-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion. He been to two Super Bowls, won one, lost one. Here's where I have Aaron Donald on the all-time list. I have him fourth, and I broke this down. I looked at it. Impact. Impact is where you have to go first. Is his impact of the game? Did he have the sack numbers that you want from that you got from a Reggie White, that you got from a Lawrence Taylor? No, but his impact on the game, with him getting doubled and triple teamed, that allowed other guys to get to the ball. That allowed other guys to have a bigger numbers when they play with Aaron Donald. Obviously, he didn't have interceptions. Okay, I think he had one or two, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but that wasn't, defensive linemen don't get those. Okay. Um, his impact, the tackle for loss, I think is the best number. He's number third all time in tackles for loss, because you want your defensive lineman penetrating, and then if they can sack the quarterback, that's a tackle for loss. If they can tackle the running back behind the line of scrimmage, that's a tackle for loss. That's what you want your defensive lineman doing. Uh, penetrating the offensive side of the ball, and then forcing a tackle for loss. That's really what you guys want them doing, and then wrecking shop, just creating havoc. Um, Having been in LA, watched him play, interviewed him a few times, you see the kind of person that he is. So I have him number 4 of all time defenders, and I'm interested to know where you guys would have Aaron Donald. Where do you have Aaron Donald as your all time defenders in the NFL to play? I have him number 4, and I tell you who I have him behind. He's behind Deion Sanders. I mean, I don't think I need to say much more, but he was behind Deion Sanders, who, baited quarterbacks into throwing the ball. He can change the play. He can change the momentum of the game on one play. Um, Not only could he get the interception, but then he get the pick six and take it to the house. I think I don't really need to explain how Deion Sanders is my number 3 all time defender in the NFL. So that leaves only 2 guys who have more impact on the game from a defensive standpoint than Aaron Donald. I have Aaron Donald 4. I have Deion Sanders 3. I don't think there's any many arguments, guys. If you guys saw the Philadelphia Eagles of the late 80s, if you guys saw the Green Bay Packers, the impact that Reggie White had when he went to the Green Bay Packers in the early 90s, they finally won a Super Bowl in the mid 90s. But if you saw the impact that Reggie White had on the Green Bay Packers, you understand for those of you who remember those Philadelphia Eagles of the late 90s, that's when I think Reggie was at his peak performance. But he played with Jerome Brown. He played with some other The beast is a different word because that defense was absolutely ferocious. Coach led by Buddy Ryan. Reggie White going to the Packers showed his ability to change that defense around and make them formidable champions. Reggie White is the only one of these guys. Reggie White has one Super Bowl. Deion Sanders obviously has a couple Super Bowls. Lawrence Taylor has a couple Super Bowls. Lawrence Taylor is my number one defensive who just absolutely changed the face of the defense, right? He changed offense and defense. He got the offensive tackles paid because if you didn't have an offensive tackle to block Lawrence Taylor or guys like Lawrence Taylor, your offense wasn't moving. So he made that position now a high priced position, that offensive left or right tackle, wherever you just regardless the opposite side of Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor, the way he changed the game, his ferociousness, the mentality he played with, the fierceness that he instilled in the offense was legendary. Lawrence Taylor, by far, without question, the best and most impactful defender ever to play in the NFL. It's without question. Anybody who has somebody else number one on the list, don't listen to their list. Don't even listen. Don't even consider it. So for me, it's Lawrence Taylor, it's Reggie White, it's Deion Sanders, and then Aaron Donald is number 4, the fourth most disruptive defensive force ever to play in the NFL. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 8-time All-Pro, and 10-time elected to the Pro Bowl. And we're talking about the Pro Bowl before they stopped playing in Pro Bowl. Okay, they stopped playing it because of guys like Aaron Donald. You just can't simply have a flag football game with Aaron Donald on the field. Okay, they stopped playing it for him. Okay, so that's my list, guys. I'd like to hear from you guys. Hit me up at _voice of the fans on Twitter, at _voice of the fans on Twitter. You can follow me on voiceofthefans.org. You can see all of our content on voiceofthefans.org, whether it's our news stories, whether it's our community empowerment stories. You can see all of our interviews and the content that we put out. Check us out on voiceofthefans.org. You can hit me up at _voice of the fans. I'd like to know from you fans. Who do you have? Where do you rank Aaron Donald as among your all-time defenders? And who do you have as number one defender in the NFL? If you have anybody other than Lawrence Taylor, I mean, we're going to have a serious conversation. But that's where we can have that conversation. Hit me up on Twitter, at _voice of the fans, at _voice of the fans on Twitter. I'd like to know, once again, fans, before I leave you guys, who is your number one defensive player all time in the NFL? My list goes Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White, Deion Sanders, and then Aaron Donald, who just retired. So kudos to Aaron Donald for his fantastic career, Super Bowl winning career. I'd like to know who you guys have on the list. Thank you guys. Thanks to those of you guys who tuned in. Patriots Watch, appreciate you for your feedback. Boots, Barry, thank you guys for your feedback as well. Fans, I want to wish you guys a great St. Patty's Day. Be safe out there because many of you guys got to go to work tomorrow, so we can't do too much, right? So be safe, and then check us out on Wednesday. Every Wednesday night, we're right here, H&B Media TV on YouTube or Voice of the Fans on YouTube. We're here with our full show, Voice of the Fans podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day. And lastly, thank you guys for making our voice your choice. Give yourself a round of applause.